Welcome to the Bad Girls on Business, the podcast that makes business more fun so you want to do more of it. Here are your hostesses with the mostesses, Jenny Bellinger, Virginia Muskies, and Michelle Nedelec.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Bad Girls on Business podcast. God, I almost forgot the name of our podcast. This is going to be interesting. I'm Virginia Muskies, the referral diva, and one of the hosts of the only podcast out there that is safe, sane, and consensual. We'll be as nice, naughty, or kinky as our guests like, and we did give them a safe word. It's meatloaf, because we would do anything for business, but we won't do that. And I'm here with my two beautiful co-hosts. We'll start out with Michelle Nedelec.
And I am your mistress in business, helping you get it up and keep it up. And of course, we're talking about revenue and profit. And I'm here with Miss Jenny B.
And I'm Jenny Bellinger, your direct sales dom, helping you whip your business into shape. And today's guest, I'm so excited because we're actually doing a live in-person interview. At least one of us is live and in person. I'm here with Adrian Chenault. Adrian Chenault is the co-founder and currently the CEO of Contact Mapping, which is an amazing CRM that is out there for business owners and really started with network marketers and direct salespeople in mind, in order to help them keep track of the conversations that they're having, the people who are in their lives, so that they can stay connected in business. And so I want to welcome Adrian Chenault to the show. Welcome.
It is so fun to be here. This is awesome.
I'm glad. These fun impromptu interviews are great. Adrian is not normally in St. Louis, but is here for a conference this weekend, and they're launching a big, cool new partnership here in town, which I will let you talk about. But let's get started with at least the introduction, because Virginia knows a little bit about you and your company. Michelle knows virtually nothing, and our listeners may not know anything at all. So tell us a little bit about Contact Mapping and how it got started.
Awesome. So I started Contact Mapping with my dad, actually, and he has been in direct sales for about 30 years. He's been in some sort of relationship business for his whole life, so 50 plus years of business. And he started actually in the restaurant world, and he was kind of like Cheers before Cheers, where they just figured out really early on that if you can remember people and make them feel important, that they'll come back over and over again. And that has been the unifying thing of everything he's ever done. And so when my parents got divorced, when I was like in first or second grade, half the week I'm at dad's house watching him do what he did. He always worked from home, and it got into my DNA, whether I liked it or not. And so I did not want to go into the family business. I went opposite direction into corporate finance and kind of as far as you could get away from direct sales at the time. And yet it was really those sort of relationship principles where that was instilled into me, and that became my own secret to success. And so in 2017, I left that company that I'd been working at for about 10 years. And we had this dream to take Contact Mapping, which was a philosophy my dad had created that was just his way of describing the way he has been able to build relationships and maintain relationships with people for so many years, and to build a whole system around that so that we could make it possible for anyone to be able to do that. And so we've been at it for almost 5 years now and have touched, tens of thousands of people's lives. And it's been quite a journey.
And it's been phenomenal for me. I mean, I actually first heard about the company in 2018, kind of took a peek at it, but I was not in a space to receive it at that time, evidently, because then when I was reintroduced in 2021, I was all over that. So, and it's been amazing. Absolutely amazing. So Michelle, with you being in the world of tech and technology, I'm sure you're probably going to have some questions about this. So I'm going to let you go ahead and check in.
Absolutely. But Adrian, if you could give us the overview, like what does it do and how does it do it?
Yeah, totally. So we started off as an app. We now still have an app. We have a whole system. So it's on the desktop as well. And the easiest way to think about it is it's a layer on top of every contact or connection in your life. So it layers on top of the contacts you have in your phone, as well as your connections on all the major social platforms like LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Clubhouse. And it makes it really simple for you to do what we believe are the really essential things in building and maintaining relationships. So I can take any contact, whether it's a brand new contact I'm creating from one of those sources, or somebody who I've known for years, and I can put a note in there, which I can either speak it into my phone and it will transcribe, or I can type it on the computer. I want to know their spouse's name, their kid's name, what makes them important, their kinks, since we're on this podcast, whatever it is. Whatever I want to remember about that. I know I introduced it into the space. Now I think I'm in trouble from here on out. So
you
whatever.
have a safe word, Adrian. You still have your
I
safe
have the
word, so
escape hatch. All right, I'm okay. So whatever that is, right? I want to be able to remember those important things about people, and I want to have little reminders to stay in touch. And so it is constantly setting these reminders to say, hey, whether it's every 3 months, every 6 months, every month, stay in touch with the people in your life so that you don't go years without reaching out to them. And then suddenly you need something or they need something and that connection's been lost. So that's the concept. And everything that we do is completely searchable. So whatever random little thing I remember about somebody that I meet, I can instantly find that person based on exactly that thing. So it's as though you can Google your own memory.
Nice.
I have a question. Okay, so Adrian, really quick question for you. Does the app have, now I'm getting into like, I'm a prospect question. Do you have custom fields and searchable stuff like that? Like, like statuses or custom fields? Because my system, I've got this, you have your normal sort of suspect, prospect, customer, client, raving fan kind of thing. And then I also have a system for that for referral partners. So is there a custom field where we can put that in and have people just put be able to tag people in that way?
Yeah. So we've gone like the most flexible possible route. And so the way that it works is you can create any tag you want, and we just use a simple hashtagging system to allow people to do that. We're now working on the next generation of that, which will maintain that level of like flexibility and simplicity. Because what I hate about traditional CRMs is you end up creating all these fields and you create it one way and then you wish it was a little different and it just becomes this big mess. We make that a lot simpler. So yes, and it's getting even better.
Nice. And you mentioned CRMs. Does it connect into the CRM? Because obviously if a corporation has it, like they want to be able to bring that information in.
Yeah. So we are piloting that right now. Up until this point, it's been a very individual focused product. We've been getting so many requests from larger companies to integrate into their systems. And so we're going to start pretty soon. And actually, this is the first time I'm publicly talking about this. We're going to start soon with a Zapier integration to allow us to plug into whatever. And then that's going to kind of show us, okay, here's the places that are where we're seeing the biggest hotspots. And then we'll build direct integrations there.
Nice.
And Virginia, you were going to ask a question, my dear.
Yeah, it was you. Well, Jenny, that I'm looking at ClickUp and I'm looking at, let me tell you about, let me not tell you about ClickUp. Once you get it, it's not that difficult. But again, it's what you said, Adrian. It's like, it's so freaking customizable that when I'm calling a rep and I'm like, how do you do it? And they're like, well, it's customizable. And I'm like, that you can do this, you can do that. And I'm like, well, that doesn't serve me none, as we say in Illinois. Because I don't care that I can, I need to know how. Right. And, if you can't tell me how, and so, thinking about when I'm coaching people, I have some people that are fairly tech savvy and ClickUp would make a lot of sense and they would want project management and they would want those things. And that would be a great platform. It's inexpensive. It's just a pain in the ass to use. But it's the best one out there for
what I do. We're still going to get sued by somebody at some point.
Care. You know what? I have documented proof that they're a PETA, so we're good. But just put their information in and put hashtag ambassador. Like, how hard is that? Right. And so if it's curatable in that regard, that could be very interesting. And the ability to import my existing stuff in there, just maybe from a spreadsheet where I've got my 5 categories and I can bulk hashtag people. Yeah. There might be people who dig that. And I don't know, Jenny, is that how you're using it? Are you using yours that way yet?
Yes. I do label my contacts because I do use contact mapping. That's why I'm here hanging out with him at this thing. Yeah. So I do actually, use that customizable, very flexible field to put in hashtag affiliate, hashtag, all the 5 A's. Yeah. So I definitely do. But to speak to what you were just talking about, Virginia, in terms of what contact mapping offers, for me, what sold me is they are a company that walks the talk of CRM, of not just creating relationship, but they maintain relationship with their customers. So I can speak about it forever and totally will, but I'm going to let Adrian talk about the wonderful, amazing support system that they have at Contact Mapping. So tell everybody more about that one.
Yeah. So here's the thing, right? You both have extensive experience using CRMs over the years. Many of your listeners, we've all, it's like this trail of tears, right? Of all of these systems that sound really great on the front end, and then they just get too complicated and you stop using them. And so really, it's about a habit formation that is going to be sustainable. And so one half of that is make the system really simple so that you'll stick with it. The other half of it is get your customers connected to one another so that they're able to support, encourage, and model the behaviors that are producing the results. Because that's the other half of it, right? Is if this just feels like yet another administrative task that doesn't, that nobody likes doing, if it lands like that, then the day is going to come when you're just going to say, oh, forget it, and you're going to move on. If you're part of a community where you're consistently hearing stories and people that are going, whoa, I had completely given up on this, or I thought I'd never talk to this person again. Because of a reminder, I reached back out, and suddenly now there's this huge opportunity, or there's this huge heart connection, or whatever it is. Those things are what sustain us, because we're able to connect to the meaning behind the behavior, not just the like, oh, I should do this because it's efficient or productive or whatever that is.
What's one of the funnest stories that you've ever heard from your clients about how they're using your system?
Oh man. So we love to do little challenges for like within our community, right? And so we have done things before where we've gone pretty deep, and we've been like, hey, like, you have an oh shit list of people that you are really scared to talk to. And so we're going to, we don't tell them at the beginning. We're like, okay, like, think about those people and write those names down. No, you're going to go talk to one of them. And we like chat, and nobody gets forced or anything. However, we're like, hey, like, there's a real release on the other side of doing that. And some of these conversations, I was talking to a guy yesterday who went through a challenge like this with us, and he called like his high school girlfriend who he hadn't spoken to in years, and had really like had all this, pain and whatever, and had kind of moved on, had, forgotten about it, and reached back out, and this incredible, like, transformative conversation happened. And they left, friends again. They left able to, connect with each other's friends, and, it kind of rebuilt this bridge back to a huge section of his life that he had left behind. And so it isn't just business. It really is these swaths of our life that sometimes we just leave behind because of some story that we told ourselves, or some sad ending that happened to a relationship, or whatever it is. And so we hear as often those powerful stories in the personal realm as we do in the business realm.
So I have a question, who's on your oh shit list?
So speaking of crazy ex-girlfriends, I had a very seriously crazy girlfriend. And when my parents got divorced, I told myself that I would, I'm going to be like, stick with it in relationships. And so this girl was like pretty crazy. And I dated her, and she was crazy for almost the entirety of our relationship. And I stayed with her for 5 years, from high school into college. And so, in one way, it's not really an oh shit list, as it's like I'd rather eat shit than talk to this girl list. However, I'm working on it, because I know that that's not my highest self that is saying that. And so the day will come, Virginia.
Oh, I love the oh shit list. One of the things that's super interesting about that list, just talking about the courage to connect, right? So let's have that conversation about the courage to connect, because mostly, one of the things I find, and I don't know, Jenny, if you find this, or Michelle, you find this, but we rely so much on email, and it's so freaking ineffective. Like, why would I send emails to be like, hey, we chatted and this is what I think I understood. Could you confirm that I understood what I think we understood, so that we're in alignment, right? But I don't really want to reach out and be like, hey, you want to like, that isn't effective. You're going to have to use a text. You're going to have to use LinkedIn, and even better, like, do some bicep curls and pick up your phone, right? Like, and so having the courage to connect, it really is about caring about other people first, and letting yourself out of the picture. and just being curious and asking questions. So what are some of the things that you teach people about courage and curiosity and connecting?
Yeah. So one of the biggest things is that there is such power in calling it on yourself and being vulnerable. It dissipates the energy, not just for you, it just does it for the person sitting across from you as well in that conversation. And so, this is a much more minor version of that shit list. However, there was a story where I was, early in my career, I was looking to change jobs, and I went and met with a mentor sort of guy who a friend had connected me with. And he was like, hey, I think you should consider joining this family office. And he had an investment office that was managing the wealth of a very wealthy family. And so he gave me this like marketing book that was like a coffee table book, like this beautiful book that he was like, you can read about them and learn about this thing. And so meanwhile, my in-laws had just gotten a puppy, and I had this book in the back of my car, and I had forgotten that I had it there. I pick up the puppy, and the puppy like chewed this book up. And so and the guy didn't care. Like he just happened to have this thing on his desk. It wasn't that meaningful to him. However, the dog like chewed a hole in this book, and I just disappeared off the planet to this guy. And that was really sad. Like, number one, that was a bad choice by me. It was also really sad because the reality is Rick didn't care. Like, if I had been like, hey, dude, like, I'm sorry, this is kind of a funny story, I hope. Like, the stupid dog ate, the dog ate your homework.
My dog really loved your book. It was awesome. And we'd like another one, please.
He wouldn't have cared. And yet I hid instead of being in relationship. And so I think that so often that's what we do is we make up a story, we build this thing up, and then we become embarrassed about the fact that we were so embarrassed. And it just kind of, calcifies, right? Like you just get stuck. And so just being willing to go like, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm kind of an idiot. This is what happened. And then on top of that, I'm like completely ashamed because I don't know why I made that up to be this huge thing and just disappeared on you. Like that was, I'm really embarrassed, and I want you to know I care about you, and I'm sorry that I did that. I've had hundreds of those conversations myself, and have heard of, I've had dozens of those conversations myself. I've heard of hundreds of those conversations from our customers, and they're amazing conversations because what always happens on the other side, they identify with that. They've been there before. That like, it is so rare that you get anything but complete love, acceptance, and forgiveness. And you don't realize what attacks those things are on your being as a professional, because it really contributes into the story of who you tell yourself you are as a leader, as a person of integrity, and so on. And so when you clean that stuff up, it really, I think, increases your self-esteem, and you live into being a different kind of person in business and in life.
I like the concept of what you're talking about is like self-integrity, right? So it's sort of, it's the ability to just be an imperfect human and say, I was imperfect. And, and if people, and the truth is, if somebody can't see themselves in that or have compassion for that, we can just delete them from our contact.
Right. Yeah.
Them, right? Okay, delete. And there's a lot of power in deciding that, because a lot of times it doesn't mean they're good or bad. It just means we're mismatched. And if my trauma triggers their trauma and they can't get over theirs and I'm trying to get over mine, then we just can't hang right now.
Right. That's exactly right.
So I'm interested in what aspects, because I start almost online conversations with, I'm sorry, I'm an idiot, but and how do we use your software? Like, what are some of the pillars that your dad had in the software that he went, this is a necessity, you have to have this?
Yeah. So really there's incredible power. So we've actually more or less replaced the word follow-up with remember. So his entire story is around, hey, Virginia, I met you through Jenny when you helped her to run her summit. And I was super impressed with you because of the way that you have these incredible pillars of referrals and all the stuff that you do with BNI. And you were telling me about your husband and all the different projects that you're into and all these things. And what's crazy is I didn't know that we were going to have this conversation today. I didn't even need to check my contact mapping to remember those things about Virginia, because somehow our brain just learns that if it was important enough to write it down or to record it, that it's important enough to remember. And so it increases your brain's associative memory power. And so you become better, and you also know that you have this incredible backup resource that's always a second brain effectively with you. And so my dad was doing that in all sorts of crazy ways. Actually, my first job ever, like the first time I ever earned money, was digitizing my dad's like literal Rolodex into a project called ACT. That was like one of the first CRMs, like in the early 1990s. And so he's had it for years and years, and it was a mess because it had accumulated across all these things. However, he'll have these moments where somebody will go, "Nice to meet you," and he'll go, "Yeah, nice to see you again." And they'll kind of look at him cockeyed, and he'll go, "Oh, look, we met in 2004 at this event, and you were talking about this." And that's kind of a good parlor trick. However, it's also this amazing ability to be able to sort of weave things together and to make connections that no one else would be able to. And so that's really it. And then the second piece, he's such a powerhouse when it comes to connecting with people, that he largely just relied on almost his own sort of internal promptings for the follow-up component. He didn't have a ton of structure there. And when we created more structure there, what he realized is that, he was doing 50% of it. There was an entire additional dimension of goodness that has come out of having actual organization around the follow-up component. And so that's been really transformative as well, not just for others, for him. So he's literally our number one most active user on our platform, because he's just like lives in contact mapping.
Nice. I love it. So when it comes to the people that are in there, how does that work? Like contact mapping in my brain, I think, oh, Virginia's only 3 blocks away. I'm going to go visit her. And Jenny's only like, is that what's going on? Or
you have that. So no. And then you have contact tracing come along, and that's even worse. And so
that's worse.
There's just all sorts of cruddy baggage.
There was contact mapping, and then the pandemic.
Right.
Like, so, I want that.
So it's like brain mapping. And one of the things that we're working toward is we're creating some roadmap around some really cool visualizations of the way that your network is intertwined, where it does become sort of spatial and visual, because that is really cool, right? Like to be able to actually see like the 6 degrees of separation, and where are these nodes of contacts, and who are the people that have connected me to a lot of people. We sort of intuitively know some of those things. There's things that we may not realize fully. And so those are some things that we're working towards on our roadmap to enable people to see that and to be more intentional about that as well.
Very cool.
I love this because I'm getting to learn about all the stuff that they're working on.
I'm talking about all the secret projects that Jenny didn't know about yet.
Well, and and here's the good thing, Adrian, it's not like we're going to put the podcast up tomorrow. So by the time it airs, you'll be good to go, so it's all
there
good.
There we go.
Yeah.
No insider trading information here.
Nothing like that. So Adrian, what do you think, what is the biggest objection to this that people have, and how do we overcome that? Like, so when people are like, oh, I really want to do this, but how do we explain to people, like, it ain't your grandma's CRM, right? Like, how do you solve that?
So I think there's 3 objections that come up all the time. One is it's just it's going to be hard. It's going to be too much. And the reality is we're all doing this in some form or fashion because it's natural human tendency to want to remember the people that you meet, to go to you go to a BNI meeting, you pick up all these business cards. What happens to them? They end up in in the bottom of your purse, or in a stack on your desk, or in a drawer, or whatever. And nothing comes of them. And so really you kind of wasted your time in some ways going to these events if you're not going to do something with this. So that's always my biggest, like, hey, like, well, you have that spreadsheet and you have that notebook and you have that, like, how's that working for you? And usually the answer is not that well. So that's one piece. There's another piece that sometimes comes up, which is like, I shouldn't, like it's weird or mean or creepy or bad for me to like need this reminder to stay in touch with people in my personal life or whatever. And I kind of think that's a crazy thing to think. And,
right?
and here's what I think.
I need more machinery in my life to help me remember the things that I know.
That's so dumb. Mary Kay Ash said that the faintest ink is more powerful than the world's most retentive memory.
Yes. Amen. That's exactly right. And so it's like, I cared enough about you to have a system to make sure that I don't go 3 or 6 months. And inevitably, anybody that ever like gives you a hard time about it, it's like, okay, well, when was the last time you called me? Oh, okay, cool. Good talk. Like, thanks again. Thanks for playing. And I love you still. Like, that's why I called you.
And number 3 was, because you said there were 2.
Yeah. So challenge of doing it. Like, it's going to be creepy. And then the third thing that comes up quite a bit is people feeling like it's going to be something that is going to confuse them, or it's going to be like, it's going to be difficult to learn, right? Because a lot of CRMs are. And so that's where we really, and I'm thankful for this. So my dad's almost 71. He's fairly tech savvy. However, he's an older guy, and he came up in a generation where he wasn't used to things moving a million miles an hour from a technology perspective. And so we have really built this with that idea in mind, that if you're 20 or 30, that this is going to be the most intuitive, easy thing for you to use ever. And if you're 50 or 60 or 70, that it just makes sense the way that it works. And it's the stuff that you need without all this other complexity and complication.
So I'm writing, you saw me, I'm writing, right? I'm not looking at you. I'm not texting. I'm actually writing stuff down. So number 1, I get a business card. Can I scan it right into the app, or do I have to manually type stuff in?
So it's connected to the contacts in your phone directly. And so we just say so like I do this all the time. I use Camcard, free app, don't pay for it. They're going to try to trick you into paying for it. You don't need to pay. Get whatever free card scanning app you want. Enable the setting that pushes it into your contacts in your phone, and contact mapping will immediately pick it up and prompt you to put the note.
Nice. Automations. I found a really cool tool that, if you guys don't know about it, you should. It's called Briskine. And have you heard of it, Adrian? Briskine? Okay. So it's this really cool app. It's free to use, where you put in templates. So for example, when like Michelle, when someone new joins the JVMM, right? I have like JVMM welcome. So I go out to LinkedIn, I start to click in the little box, and then Briskine comes up and I go, oh, click JVMM welcome. And so I write, hey, Michelle. And then it's like, welcome to the JVMM. I would love to meet with you. Here's my calendar, blah, 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 right? And it just populates it. So you're not constantly typing that back to people. So you can, the same thing with email. Like I have an email that says, hi, thank you so much for reaching out and soliciting me. However, I'm not going to do business with you. If you would like to meet me, like a human being, I would be more than happy to have a human conversation with you. Send me over your calendar link and I'll schedule 15 minutes and we can get to know each other as humans. Then maybe we can talk business. And I got tired of typing that because I get them all the time. Like, hi, I am Jamal and I would like to build your website. So I like go, hi, Jamal. And then I click Briskine and it's like solicitation blow off. And then I just throw it, like I put it on there. And some people actually go, I would really love to have a conversation with you. And they send me a link and I click on the link and I follow through. So if you're looking for something to integrate with, I think that would be really hot for you guys to be able to have that kind of an integration where you could keep, like, I'm a member of the chamber. I met them at the chamber. Nice meeting you at the chamber. And they don't have to keep typing it. For that. And I don't know if you can you send messages from the app, or do you need to get out the app and just use your regular, Connect 365 or Gmail or whatever?
Yeah. So you have one tap initiation to any of the platforms. So email, Facebook, phone call, any of those things. So you can go, it's initiating directly from there. We're not sending it from inside the app because of
understood.
Why do that? Yeah.
Got it. Well, so look at Briskine, because whatever that is, and if I don't know who owns it or whatever, but I could, we can dig that out. But that's a really cool, it's really cool integration. It saved me hours, probably a half a day of productivity a week, not having to retype those things. Thank you, Joe Apfelbaum, for letting us know all about Briskine. Just saying.
Which, by the way, we should bring him on the Monday training.
Oh, cool.
He's that good.
Awesome. Yeah. Love it.
Oh, he's seriously that good. Yeah.
Nice.
You'll love it.
Trains LinkedIn really, really well. So I don't know. How are we doing on time? And are we ready for questions?
I think it'd be good to do our questions. Let's do our housekeeping questions with Michelle.
Housekeeping question number 1, Adrian, is how can people get a hold of you so they can check out contact mapping and see maybe if it's for them?
Awesome. Yeah. So I'm really easy to find on all the social platforms. So it's Adrian, and my last name's Chenault, Chenault. And the easiest way, of course, is just to go to contactmapping.com.
All right. So, Michelle, do you want to ask Adrian our naughty questions?
Yes, I do. They sound naughty, but they're actually kind of nice.
All
He
right.
said cake. He
Business
said
questions
cake
with the
earlier in the episode. So
Remember, you
open
asked
the
for this.
door.
Just saying.
I asked for this. All right.
When it comes to your marketing, do you prefer domination or seduction?
Seduction.
Nice. When it comes to networking, are you an exhibitionist or a voyeur?
That's a good one. I would say I'm more of a voyeur.
When it comes to leadership in your business, are you a gentleman dom or a power sub?
I'm a gentleman dom.
We're really making him
It hurts you to say that,
uncomfortable
doesn't
with these questions. Jenny is losing her crackers right now, Adrian.
When it comes to your team, do you prefer to be married to them or have mistresses?
So employees are 1099.
Yeah. Married. I'm a commitment guy.
Nice. And when it comes to entrepreneurship, do you prefer monogamy or polyamory?
Oh, thank you. Polyamory, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who'd have
See,
thought it?
I'm willing to flip the script a little bit.
Like to share. That's good to know.
Love to share. That's
We
great.
have just expanded his context.
Before Jenny takes us out, Adrian, thank you so much, because I've been kind of looking at it and thinking about it and trying to figure out some systems. And I want to talk with you a little bit more about this and how we might incorporate it into what I do as it starts to, expand and meet a few more needs. So I'm really grateful for this time and for the opportunity to maybe use Jenny's affiliate link. So just saying, Jenny's like, yeah. So moving right along. Yes, please. So Jenny, why don't you take us out?
Absolutely. So first off, thank you, Adrian, for impromptu jumping in on a live podcast interview. So appreciate you and appreciate your relationship and sharing this with everybody, because I think this is really going to change some lives here for those who choose to go check out contact mapping for their businesses. Make sure you check, listeners, make sure you check the show notes. We will have all of Adrian's links, and as well as the direct link to contact mapping as well. So you can check that out and see if it's a good fit for you. And of course, if you have any questions, reach out to Adrian, reach out to the team. And I say we as if I'm part of the community, because I am. And we are happy to answer those questions and help you understand how this can be beneficial for you. And of course, listeners, if this is the first time you've ever listened, then you should know you can go check all of your hosts out, your co-hosts out at badgirlsonbusiness.com. We have all of our fun information there, and each one of us has provided a gift for our listeners at badgirlsonbusiness.com. Just click on our bio, our individual bios, and we have a gift for each of you. So make sure you check out the Referral Diva, Your Mistress in Business, and the Direct Sales Dom to see what we have to give to you here. So thank you so much for listening, and make sure you stay tuned, because we have another badass episode on its way.
Thank you for listening to the Bad Girls on Business podcast. Don't forget to check the show notes for any links mentioned in this episode and for additional contact information about the guest or our hostesses. If this show got you going, we'd love to hear about it when you subscribe, rate, and review the show on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. Can't get enough of the Direct Sales Dom, the Referral Diva, or Your Mistress in Business? The Bad Girls have hidden their gift for you at badgirlsonbusiness.com. When you find the Easter egg, use the password BGOB to unlock your treasure chest of goodies.